This is the Baseball Tonight podcast for Tuesday, July 14th, 2026, presented by La Quinta by Wyndham. I'm Buster Olney, working from my hotel room down in Philadelphia. The morning after the home run derby, Taylor Schwenk is working back in Bristol. Man, that derby was fun. I was really concerned about the pace of the derby without the clock. And when you look at the final numbers, in the last 5 home run derbies, there was an average of 275 homers. In the derby on Monday night, 131 homers for about the same time. But as it turned out, the pace was terrific. The finish was awesome. The top of the first is brought to you by La Quinta by Wyndham. Wilson Contreras was the first hitter in the home run derby, and he had a strong first round.
Jose Flores, who started the season as a Red Sox first-base coach and infield instructor, is grooving them. Contreras, yard work, left field. Boom! Wow. 13 home runs for the Red Sox superstar.
That was Carl Ravitch on ESPN Radio, working with Doug Glanville, myself, up in the press box. Now, Kyle Schwarber hit just 10 home runs in his first round, leaving Bryce Harper in a position to possibly eliminate his teammate. But Harper struggled.
He swings again. He's got 8. And now a real threat to Schwarber.
Schwarber leaning forward, yelling something to Harper before that last pitch.
Swings, and he will not do it. And Bryce Harper's night is over.
So the dream of having Harper versus Schwarber in the finals in Philadelphia, that went away. But Kyle Schwarber advanced, and man, he began to dominate in round 2, beating Wilson Contreras.
9 homers for Schwarber. This one closer to the foul line, but it's gone about 4 rows deep. A good number. He's now egging the crowd on. Swings, and this one is not going to be deep enough. Puts the bat on the ground. His round will end with 9 home runs.
Now, in the final, it was Kyle Schwarber against Jordan Walker of the St. Louis Cardinals, who had a terrific first half, and Schwarber put up a big number.
And he does it! Right field, and it is a blast! Second deck caught by a fan leaning over the railing. 11 homers. Did he do it again? A liner, and no, it is not going to leave, but it was touched by a fan leaning over. He will end the round with 11 homers, and that's the number Jordan Walker needs. Schwarber lifts his arms up to celebrate the fans' support of him.
Yeah, and the fan support turned from positive for Schwarber to where they were all over Jordan Walker, who was down to his last swing when he hit 4 straight homers on the magenta ball.
Walker swings deep into the night in left field, and Walker walks it off.
Oh my!
4 in a row.
What a performance!
Schwarber gives him high fives. The Philly fans are all leaving. Jordan Walker, the home run derby champion. Amazing.
What a finish for that event. We'll be talking with Eduardo Pérez about that coming up. That was the top of the first. Earn Wyndham Rewards points with every qualified stay at La Quinta by Wyndham. Tonight, La Quinta. Tomorrow, you shine. Book your next trip at laquinta.com. Terms and conditions apply. Eduardo Pérez is an analyst for ESPN. Eduardo, man, what a derby last night, huh?
Incredible. I was able to witness it in many different facets. I started the derby in a restaurant with our ESPN crew, just watching it. We had it on our mobile screen, and then from there, I had transitioned, watched it in the car on the way, and was able to see the last round and a half, pretty much, of Schwarber and Jordan Walker in person, sitting first next to Don Mattingly, and then standing and watching it next to greatness of Ken Griffey Jr. and Jimmy Rollins and all the other players that were still there. It was absolutely awesome to watch.
And, you know, it's so cool that Jordan Walker emerges, right? Youngest home run derby champion ever, which is remarkable considering the history of the derby. And he's someone who struggled in his first years in the big leagues, and then you started to hear in spring training, like, man, Jordan Walker looks great. There had been all this criticism in his first years, ironically, that he was putting the ball on the ground too much.
Yeah.
And then this year he starts to do damage, right? This year. And what you began to hear that was that he's starting to be open to feedback in a way that he hadn't been early in his career. He's having this tremendous season. I talked to Oliver Marmol, his manager, just before the event. Carl and I were talking with him, and he said, yeah, he's a little nervous. Well, I didn't see that during the event, Eduardo. I mean, he was just so relaxed, taking that deep breath, taking his time, and just shocking the world with how he finished.
Well, they had a game plan. And I think let's go back to your original comments first. And he was sent down. You're right. He reminded me a lot of a right-handed version of Garrett Anderson when he was first coming up to the big leagues. Didn't understand still how to pull the ball. Didn't understand still how to lift the baseball, and was able to do it. The late Garrett Anderson, who also won himself a home run derby at the Chicago White Sox. I remember back then in the All-Star game, and he did it in a different way. Jordan did it in his own way. He was hitting the ball out in front. He was taking his time. But the most important thing, if we go back, there are a couple things that stand out. Jordan would take the first two pitches to try to time it right, and it wasn't more for him as it was for Tomar, his BP thrower. Wanted to make sure he put the ball exactly
Cleninger Tehran, who, of course, a coach who had done the Derby before, throwing Albert Pujols in 2022. But go ahead.
Correct. And that veteran, I think that leadership plays, because I had conversations with a lot of the BP guys. Jose Flores, the bench coach for the Red Sox, who pitched to Contreras. They're like, look, we're going to take our time. And I mentioned that because I also had a conversation with Flores, and he said, look, when Contreras was getting booed, it worked against him, against Schwarber. It worked against him because he was trying to swing harder to try to silence the crowd or even get him even rowdier. And that was something that I believe Walker learned, and Walker realized, I have to be myself. I have to be as quiet as possible. I have to take pitches. He did take those pitches. And I'm wondering, because of the struggles of the players with the magenta ball at the end, we saw that Schwarber was able to break through that, but everybody struggled with that magenta ball. If you notice, Jordan Walker did not see a magenta ball in the last round. He only swung at and saw the regular baseballs. And I'm wondering if that played into an advantage for him. On the last pitch that was supposed to be thrown with the magenta, he hit 3 more home runs, and they were all the regular baseballs.
I didn't notice that. So he didn't. So he didn't swing at magenta balls. Those weren't thrown.
Those weren't thrown. And if you go back and you check it out,
Tehran, tip of the cap, because he had the 2 baskets. He was grabbing regular balls, huh?
I think the MVP of all of this was Tehran, without even him knowing, because they were so focused on, I have to throw a strike. There was no oversight on the magenta ball. And it plays to the visuals of the hitter when he has to hit consistently the sweet spot of a baseball where it plays with your mind. It was just regular, good old-fashioned Major League baseballs that were being thrown at the end.
Man, we didn't notice that. We knew that the players are struggling with magenta balls, but I assumed it was just Jordan Walker stepping up in a big moment and hitting the magenta balls. And instead, what you're telling me, I'm looking forward to going back and seeing a replay now to see that with regular baseballs. That was cool. And you mentioned the Phillies fans. I think they made this event, even though by the end of the night they were upset, because I think you'd agree with me, Eduardo, that typically the home run derby, it feels like a kumbaya. Everybody's happy. They're rooting for everybody. Well, Phillies fans laid down the gauntlet right from the beginning when they're introducing the players. Ben Rice wearing that Yankee uniform, he gets booed. Junior Caminero coming into the night, perceived to be the biggest threat to Schwarber and Harper. He gets booed. Wilson Contreras going against Schwarber in the second round. He gets booed. Jordan Walker's hearing it. He gets booed. And it made me laugh. I don't know if you noticed this, Eduardo, being on the field, but when we're doing a game on radio, Jordan Walker has that burst at the end, right? And he hits that last home run, and the ball is halfway to the stands, and I look down. Phillies fans are in the aisles. They are leaving. Like immediately, Kyle Schwarber goes over, to congratulate Jordan Walker. He, graciously. And as that hug is taking place, it felt like half the ballpark was already gone because the Phillies fans are like, screw this. We're not celebrating this guy.
I know. It was unbelievable. The ball was midair. I took a video because I had Ken Griffey Jr., who is he's doing photography really well. He's got his camera, and I'm like, I can't mess up this moment. You have Junior with his hat on backwards taking a picture. You have Jordan Walker with his hat on backwards, also getting ready to take a swing. And then you have the parents of Jordan Walker in the background, also waiting in anticipation of what's going to happen. I saw it as a moment I couldn't miss, and I'm glad I was able to capture that moment. But to be able to slow everything down and then realize that as soon as on impact, he knew that he got it. The parents did not, but the fans
Oh, really?
did.
Okay.
And they were already turned around, walking back as the parents were still looking at the ball, and Jordan had his hands up, and they were already out the exit trying to beat the traffic. It was a great moment to be able to witness. If one was at the ballpark, I know you were able to witness it. It's funny because the game of baseball, we've adopted the timer. And then for the home run derby, we take it away. We took it away. And I think it was right. As a fan being there, you were able to see where the ball landed. You were able to see contact. I hope the people at home were able to see the same thing that we saw at the ballpark. But it was just a great moment and a great time to be able to see baseball live up to its expectations in this home run derby.
So, truth serum moment. Okay, before the event began, I think if I were to line up the players from 1 to 8 as, from who I most expected to win to the least expected to win, Harper was definitely my favorite. I thought he had the secret weapon, Dino Ebel. He would have been number 1, right? And then you get Caminero and Schwarber and guys who have some experience.
Yeah.
Jordan Walker would have been 8 for me. There's no question about it. And so for him to do that was remarkable. Who would have been where would Jordan Walker have been among your 8 if you were to rank them that way?
Probably 7 with Cags probably in the 8 spot because his dad was going to throw to him. And
Yeah.
I think the BP thrower plays a huge role in all of this.
Huge.
I knew that Contreras, I think that the best BP thrower there is Jose Flores. I've seen him for years. I carried him on my coaching staff, not only because he was such an excellent coach, but because he can throw an excellent BP. I'll tell you this. Contreras convinced Flores, you got to come throw to me. And Flores was supposed to have a 3-day vacation with his wife that he hadn't seen in quite some time. And he's like, well, all right, let's go. But you have to have permission first from the wife. And because he's that good. And I think BP throwers make it or break it. And the experience of Tehran having been there before, played. I think the experience also of Caminero, having done it last year, also played. But I still thought Kyle Schwarber was the number 1. That's the one that I had picked from the get-go because it's Schwarbs, and Ruiz was throwing to him, and he knows him real well, and it's his home ballpark, and he knows. And we saw what Schwarbs did last year in the tiebreaker. We saw it. It's this guy's a natural, and it doesn't matter who's pitching to him. His swing path dictates home runs.
So over the last 5 years, it was an average of 275 homers in the home run derby. This year, in about the same time, 131, less than half. but that worked for you, Eduardo, because you got to see the ball fly, you got to see it travel, and you build up some drama. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, the thing is, we were always concerned with the fatigue factor, right? Guys were swinging quick. When Frazier won it in Cincinnati, it was like, just give me another one, give me another one, give me another one. And God bless the soul of our camera guys and our production at ESPN. We were trying to, keep following along to make sure that the audience was able to see it. What we wanted to see was home runs, but we didn't want this event to last 4 hours, right? With outs and everything. Here, you have a limited amount of swings. I always suggested if we're going to keep the timer, we need a tandem to cut down the swings in half. What we did not see yesterday was fatigue. We didn't see any fatigue from any of the players, and I think that's the important thing. How are we able to get the big stars to still do this event? I think yesterday proved a major opening into a way of being able to do it. And I think it's going to play. I think it's going to play for quite some time. And let's face it, it's the players get around $150,000 for showing up for this event. And it keeps moving up all the way to the $1 million. Kyle Schwarber doesn't come out that bad with $500,000 as a runner-up. But look, this is an event that the players not only do it, there's always an incentive of the money, but they want to check it out at least once in their career. And they want to be able to check it. And I think now Jordan Walker wakes up today as the first time as a champ, home run champ, but he doesn't wake up tired and fatigued like the previous winners have.
Right, and worried about injury. I mean, we've heard that around the edges, like Aaron Judge in 2017, the question whether or not he got hurt. And I think that affected the participation, who would agree to do it. And we got a great field this year, like 8 for 8. It was a terrific field. And so you're hoping that, in the years to come that you get similar fields where you get star players agreeing to do it. Yeah. We'll see about that. I want to ask you, so we're going into Tuesday night with the All-Star game. As you know, because of injuries, Aaron Judge will not be playing, Shohei Ohtani will not be playing, but Jacob Mizorowski, the guy everyone wants to see in the mound, he won't be playing. Paul Skeens won't be participating. We'll be excited to see the big cheer for Mike Trout, who grew up 40 miles from here. But generally speaking, Eduardo, it feels like year by year by year, more and more players are bypassing this event. And I know, let me finish my thought for a second. I know that, that we have the CBA talks coming up, and that's the priority. But I really hope after they get that settled, whenever that is, that they do have a conversation, just as they did in the NBA, about how to restore some of the majesty of the All-Star game, because I think it should be great. What do you think?
Yeah, what's interesting is the Mizorowski one, where he was supposed to pitch on Sunday, and they actually pulled him out of that one. Arm fatigue. I don't think it's arm fatigue as much as it is. They know that they're going to be in the postseason. They know they're going to need that arm of his.
Yes.
And they expect more innings to be thrown in October, and they're hoping to go deep into it. So why not give him a breather now? And now you can give him maybe 10 consecutive days off or something like that to get him revamped into the second half of the season. The Pittsburgh Pirates have been playing really good baseball as well. Paul Skeens has been inconsistent this year, to say the least. But they're hoping that the second half of the season is a little bit different, a little reset for him as well. Plays. The good thing is those two guys are here. I saw them walk into that clubhouse yesterday. I saw them want to be a part of that clubhouse yesterday. I even took a cool picture of Paul Skeens' locker because it was full of goodies. Who knew that he was a size 15 shoe and that he needed so many of them to walk around? But and they're happy to be here. They want to be here. Do they want to pitch? They understand the value that they bring also to their organization and vice versa. So they're representing their organization even though they're not pitching. And I think that's what people want to see. They want to see the stars here. It's unfortunate. Aaron Judge has been hurt a lot. He's not here. I get that. It's unfortunate Shohei Ohtani is not here present. You would love to see that greatness walk in. I had a conversation yesterday with Yamamoto as well, saying, no, this for us is everything. So he showed up late, and I called him out for it because I told him, I said, you're Japanese. Japanese time means 20 minutes before. I played in Japan. The 20 minutes before you're supposed to be here, you're supposed to be here. He's like, this is the American way now. So I love it. The guys are really enjoying it. Drake Baldwin was the one that stood out to me, Buster. Drake Baldwin yesterday walked into the clubhouse. He had a backpack on, and he just stood there for a moment and just did a 360 slowly, just absorbing it, taking it all in. To me, that was the aha moment for him. And I went right after to him and I said, so what do you think? He goes, this is surreal. It is awesome. This means the world to every player that puts on the uniform, even if they're playing or not.
Do you want to see it somehow get back to where the players actually want to play, or do you think that's just not realistic? Is that only going to take place in the WBC?
I think a lot of players want to play. I think a lot of the young players want to be able to experience this. But a lot of players value the family time as well. I think, Zach Wheeler was given a hard decision to make. A lot of people say, well, it's easy. You're in Philly. Why wouldn't you? The 250th, birthday of America. And we've done this in Philly, and we would have loved to have had 7 Phillies representing at the All-Star. Well, they should have picked him immediately. By not picking him immediately, he makes plans with his wife. He's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. I promise we're going to do this. And then all of a sudden they want to change those plans. There's a lot of sacrifices that players make in their short careers, and just being a witness and then seeing this game from a different vantage point as a son, as a player, as a husband, as a broadcaster, the sacrifices that one makes for this game, once those plans are made, I think the priority lied with his family. And I applaud him for it. As much as I would love to see a Zach Wheeler here, I applaud him for his decision to put family first in this one.
All right, Eduardo. Thanks for doing this. I'll see you at the ballpark in a little bit.
You got it, Buster.
On Monday afternoon, reporters got access to the All-Stars on the concourse at Citizens Bank Park, and I asked a bunch of players about the overriding question in 2026, what's it going to take to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers? Big question coming into the year was, can anybody beat the Dodgers? What would it take?
I mean, they're a good baseball team. I think you go in there and you play your best baseball, you have a chance. I mean, that's why everyone loves the sport of baseball, is how kind of unpredictable it is. Depending on the starting pitcher, bullpen arms, I mean, one pitch over the middle could change the whole game.
I don't think it's anything too crazy. I mean, like, baseball is weird, and I mean, it took even a miracle last year, like with Rojas, and just for the Dodgers to win. Baseball's a funny game sometimes. I think obviously they got a great roster. I'm sure the public probably ran with the narrative a little more than people were strapping it on and playing. But there's no denying it's a great lineup. It's a great rotation, great bullpen. They know how to win, but every team's going to think on any given day they got a chance to win a ball game, and I think that's just how we approach it.
From your perspective, what do you see in that team?
A good team, deep team, a lot of injuries, and they're still winning. So it's a testament to the group that they've put together, and their knack for winning. It's the roster is what it is, but we know that any given day any team can win. It's just a little harder to do when you got the depth that they have.
Jacob Misiorowski has separated himself from the field in 2026, and I asked other players what they see in Misiorowski. What do you see in Misiorowski?
He doesn't walk anybody. I think that's like every time I see a line, it's like 10 strikeouts but no walks. It's like it's a really incredible thing to do. The velocity obviously captivates a lot of people, but there's a lot more that goes into that than just throwing fastballs by guys.
How would you describe Misiorowski?
Misiorowski, it's a good fastball. it's hard for me to meet a fastball that I don't like, and that one was tough to hit. So it was fun to face him. I'm excited to see him again at some point.
What are you seeing him and Mizorowski facing him?
Hall of Fame pitcher. I mean, he throws one of the hardest fastballs, if not the hardest fastball I've seen. Guy's unreal. I mean, just gotta look for one pitch, and then he's got that curveball at 90 miles per hour. He's got a cutter at like 97. So it's really unfair at bat against hitters, and I think he's just an amazing pitcher.
I asked some of the American League players about this crazy American League race. American League race. What's your assessment of it?
It's pretty wild. It's pretty wide open. Nobody's giving up on the Jays. We're locked in. We're going to be ready to go in the second half.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty open for the taking. It feels as if a lot of people have a chance. I think the first half was, for most teams, there's a lot of ups, a lot of downs, as the normal baseball season is. And, we're a little over halfway, so enjoy this little event and get back to, for at least ourselves, winning the division and bringing it home.
How do you feel where you guys are now?
Feel good. I like where we're at, getting healthy. We have so much talent on the roster, and it's just a matter of just bringing it out every night and being consistent with it.
One of the shocking trades of 2025 was when Mason Miller was dealt to the San Diego Padres, and there are rumors around Miller again if the Padres decide to become sellers. I asked Miller about this. A year ago today, were you thinking anything going into the trade deadline that there was a possibility you would move?
I mean, it's always a possibility. It was talked about 2 years ago, talked about last year, and it ultimately happened. So we're sitting here talking about it again this year. But I was a little surprised, I guess. Just the core that the A's have. I think really good core. And I was excited to be a part of that group as it approached Vegas and everything. But I understand it. At the end of the day, too, it's business, it's baseball, and they're happy with what they got. The Padres are happy with what I've been able to do for them. So I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to compete in the major leagues.
We've been speculating this year about whether or not Tarek Skubal is going to be traded, and I asked Dylan Dingler, the Tigers catcher, about how the Tigers are handling all that. So idiots like me have been speculating about Skubal maybe being traded for months. How do you guys handle that in your clubhouse?
Obviously, we can't change it. I guess you can't say you can't change it, because if we play well, we obviously could maybe retain him. But it's one of those things you can't worry about. You're going to try to put the best brand of baseball out there, the best, try to play the best, put ourselves in the best position to maybe push for the postseason, and whatever happens, happens.
Alrighty, Buster, Bleacher Tweets for Tuesday, a little post-derby action here. And you and we talked about, I think off air, about maybe some light concerns about the derby format and how slow-moving it could potentially be. Our guy, Jeff Passan, he was on, I think he was on First Take yesterday, and he had this to say about it.
No timed rounds either. Do you think these changes from Major League Baseball are a good idea, Jeff?
I do not. I think it's going to stink. And I'm genuinely, I'm worried about that.
He followed it up with Passan is a moron last night on Twitter. So we love accountability on the podcast, Buster. And I think, I'm glad everyone's concerns were alleviated.
What did you think of the event and the way that it played out, Taylor?
I thought it was a little slow to start, but once it got going, once it got in the second round and then the final round was absolutely electric. The Philly crowd, it lived up to the hype. So I think it eventually panned out. I think this happens every year with the Derby, even with the timed rounds. Like, it always starts a little slow because there's just a lot of guys you got to get through. But then once a group of guys are eliminated, it gets moving and the excitement builds. And we had a great crescendo.
I really hope that going forward that the fan bases where the host city is, that they treat the Derby like the Phillies fans did, which was like instead of this kumbaya, this is all fun home run derby moment, they're rooting actively against the competitors, and that was kind of cool. I think that to help frame the event, even at the end when Jordan Walker slam dunked on them.
Oh, he quieted the whole crowd. It was really cool. And then on the broadcast, they're showing Jordan Walker's parents going nuts. It was a great scene, man.
Yeah, it was neat to have him have that moment, right? Especially after struggles early in the year, to see him get rewarded in a season where, as we talked with Oliver Marmol, his manager, he's taken feedback, right? And now we're seeing how great he can be.
John in South Carolina writes, is Wilson Contreras the first player to participate in All-Star festivities in the middle of a suspension? I kind of forgot that he got into it with a Nats pitcher. I guess that was like a week ago or so. Anything come to mind? A few weeks
ago, and then he got a suspension, so he's in the middle of it. It's the first one I can remember.
Interesting. Let's go to Matt. He wrote in about replay reviews being recorded. He wants to hear conversations between field umpires in the replay center. That's not as interesting as the PS he added. He said, PS, Cubs GM Jed Hoyer will never make a big trade like you guys seem to think he will. They made a trade a couple of weeks ago with the Mets, but we're always projecting onto the Cubs, and he's saying nay. Do you feel like they're going to make a move here?
Well, I think that's right. I don't think the Cubs are ever going to be hyper aggressive like we saw last year. The Seattle Mariners, went and traded for Josh Naylor, Eugenio Suarez. We saw the Padres add Mason Miller. I don't think the Cubs are going to make that kind of trade. I do think they're going to add starting pitching help, but let's just say, for argument's sake, that Tarek Skubal is available in 2.5 weeks, and I don't think he's going to be, but let's say he's available. I don't think the Cubs will be the team that gets him, right? I think it's going to be another team like the Rays, maybe. Maybe it's the Phillies, maybe it's the Dodgers, teams that are more aggressive. I mean, it's a fair point. Really, since they won the championship in 2016, that was the year when they traded for Aroldis Chapman. And Theo Epstein said, this is a deal you make to try to win a World Series. They don't operate in the same fashion.
Buster, I know you're just buzzing around. You're having a million conversations. Adam wants to know, he's starting to plan his summer vacation next year. He wants to visit some ballparks. Based on these conversations, it's July 14th, 2026. Do you think there's going to be a lockout next year? Should Adam start planning his vacation, or should he press pause on it?
So there definitely is going to be a lockout. That's going to start in December 1st. The question is, when they begin to get into the position where games in 2027 are threatened, that's when the rubber's going to meet the road, and we're going to know what's going to happen. I think that before July 14, 2027, one of the sides will collapse, and they will make a deal. I don't think we're going to lose the whole season.
Right on. Last question from me, Buster. Who are some notables that you've run into? Any friends of the pod? Was Sarah Langs there? Have you seen her?
Sarah Langs was there. Nice. And I texted her yesterday, and she was on the field, and I asked her, I said, which players have come over and said hi? And she said, Kyle Schwarber. And I talked to Schwarber after that and just mentioned to him, thank you so much. Just as I do Garrett Cole and other players, Julio Rodriguez, and thank you for, your conversations with Sarah. And it just means so much to her. And Schwarber was just like, man, she's the best. And just talking about, this is right before the Home Run Derby. And we're talking about Sarah Langs. So that was really cool to see in his face just how much Sarah, means to players. And he just talked about what a great job she does.
A preeminent baseball mind, Buster. Very cool. A celeb in her own right. Glad you had a good time at the Derby. Great calls on the radio, man. We could hear you basically falling out of your seat on that Jordan Walker home run where he won the whole thing. So good stuff. We'll be back on Friday with a little second half look ahead with Tim Kirkshin and Hembo.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And with that, I mean, that was such a great home run derby. It's fun to talk about for sure. Thanks for watching the Baseball Tonight podcast presented by La Quinta by Wyndham. Tonight, La Quinta, tomorrow you shine. My thanks today to, of course, Taylor Schwenk, to Eduardo Pérez, to all the All-Stars that we got a chance to talk to on Monday. That was super fun going from player to player and getting feedback to all of our questions. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. And remember, hate and inequality based on skin color is something we need to fight against every single day.